Hello, my name's Georgiana, and I feel a lot of things. Some would call them feelings. But in today's world, feelings aren't cool anymore. To feel, to try, to want, that's a weakness. I call this the cult of nonchalance. And so many lover girls, lover boys, lovers outright have been indoctrinated into it. How do we save them? Can we save them? Perhaps I'll answer these questions in today's podcast. I have a lot to say about nonchalance, naturally, of course. There are so many facets to this chill epidemic, but I'm trying to keep my podcast short and sweet, a la Sabrina Carpenter, so today we will focus on a single facet, and if destiny decrees it, well, I'll talk about the rest another time. So without further ado, what is nonchalance? I think of nonchalance as an umbrella term for multiple things like indifference, apathy, and being chill. It's like, I don't care. It's whatever. It's no big deal. I don't owe anyone anything and it's not my problem. That kind of feeling. Ambivalence? Ambivalence? Is that correct? I really should look up how to pronounce words before I write them down and then speak them. Ambivalence is maybe the best word to describe what nonchalance means to me. These things have always existed, of course, but there's been a huge rise in nonchalance over the last few years, especially with TikTok and Reels taking over our brains and attention spans. I think the social media form of nonchalance is especially harmful to relationships of any kind. I'm sure we've all been served content online that encourages this ambivalence towards the people we're supposed to care about and want in our lives. Maybe it's a dating coach telling you how to act so that you don't come off as clingy or obsessed with someone, which usually means acting like you don't want them in your life, hardly talking to them, and expecting them to read your mind. Or maybe it's a girl boss queen encouraging you to calculate some kind of sunken cost fallacy when it comes to your relationships. How can your friends be useful to you? And they define opening up as trauma dumping because you're not their therapist. We're told to not text too many times, to let someone go if they don't immediately meet us at our level, that being the first one to confess feelings means you've lost and given up some kind of power and control that you apparently need to keep someone around and interested. To overanalyze people instead of asking them questions. Don't chase but attract because I guess if you stay standing still, then the thing you want is going to magically appear in front of you. Men love bitches, so don't be too sweet. If you try too hard, that's cringe. In relationships, in work, in beauty. That's another thing. Nonchalance isn't just about feelings or caring about other people. It's about you. Everything you do has to be effortless. Your beauty has to be effortless. Your style has to be effortless. Your house should be effortlessly maintained. It should all come to you without you having to lift more than your pinky finger. To admit that these things are hard work is shameful and embarrassing. To admit effort in anything is seen as a personal failure. Why? Personally, I think the effort is what makes anything worthwhile. I think love is worthwhile because it takes effort. I think friendships are worthwhile because they take effort. I think cleaning my house is worthwhile because it takes effort, though I don't rejoice in doing it. And I think that caring for the world outside of yourself is worthwhile because it takes effort. We have started to see both emotions and effort as a weakness, something to be shamed for. Empathy is a burden instead of a strength. I mean, at least according to Elon Musk, whatever his name is, the first trillionaire. That number should not even exist. I've never counted to 1 trillion before. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Muffin. The world we live in. Anyway. And don't get me wrong, I think being able to be cool, calm, and collected is not a bad thing necessarily. To be grounded in the face of whatever the world throws at you is a great skill to have. instead of constantly swinging from one side of the emotional pendulum to another. Being regulated is a strength. But the difference between calm and nonchalance is that calmness isn't without feeling. Calmness doesn't avoid feeling. It doesn't center its actions around appearing like it does not feel. Does that make sense? I don't know. The genre of nonchalance that we're sold is disingenuous, because being nonchalant is more chalant than just being chalant. Nonchalance pretends to be effortless, but it takes a whole lot of effort to pretend like nothing bothers you at all, that you are an immovable force against the woes of the world, to lock up your emotions and keep them in a cage. Nonchalance is born out of fear and a need for control. In my opinion, it's a safety mechanism. And honestly, it makes sense that we're seeing such a rise of it in our current world. I'd really like to talk about how sexism and capitalism feeds this cult of nonchalance, but that's a facet for another day. Today I want to focus on why I think caring is worth it. And this might sound like I'm beating a dead horse. Side note, hate that saying. Why would you beat a dead horse? Whoever had to beat a dead horse to create that saying, I have serious problems with you. I just think that is so wrong and messed up. Whatever. Because I feel like I always bring my podcasts around to the conclusion that caring is beautiful and we should care for each other, but damn it, I can't stop thinking about it and talking about it, so we're talking about it again today. And you're gonna listen, and you're gonna like it, and you're gonna leave and care a little bit more. Okay? Okay, let's go. I've always been a little bit too sensitive, and I've always felt a little bit too much, generally. When I feel, oh, did you hear my knuckle crack? That was fun. Anyway, when I feel with the intensity of the sun, and that's putting it lightly. There is nothing casual about a single emotion that pops up in my brain. This has been a big point of contention in my life in many ways. When I was younger and I got upset at people picking on me, they'd just say I was too sensitive. And my mum was always worried about me because of my sensitivity. I do find it strange that, even as a child, sensitivity is seen as a sort of negative. Isn't that the point of being a child? And I wasn't wrong for being sensitive about people being mean, because they were being mean. I feel like that's the thing you should be sensitive about, right? Anyway, all of this to say, I think feeling this way almost made me more susceptible to indoctrination into nonchalance. Nonchalance feels safer. After my sensitivity hurt me so much, pretending not to care was the armor I needed. I really clung onto ideas sold to me by social media, and one of my catchphrases for a while was, I don't owe anyone anything. It was almost freeing at first, to think I didn't have to be kind to people who weren't kind to me, though I don't think I was ever truly unkind intentionally. But I don't know if anyone else who's been picked on relates to this, but at some point when you realize you can have that fuck them mentality, it frees you. You mean I don't have to beg people to love me? But social media's nonchalance isn't about no longer caring about those who hurt you. It's about self-preservation to a point where you ignore the ones who are kind to you as well, and the ones you want in your life, and the ones you love. And the problem with social media's nonchalance is that it turns anything that is even slightly warm into a weakness. It turns everything into a game of power and control. It removes the nuance from relationships and leaves them cold. I am incredibly fascinated with modern dating. It baffles me. It seems like all the advice is more conducive to staying single than to ever getting into any kind of worthwhile relationship with anyone. When I like someone, I want to text them. I want to talk to them, to hear their voice and call them cute or something cringy like that. But advice online would tell me to leave them undelivered for a day, to read into every text and micro expression looking for a sign that they like me instead of outright asking. It says if I chase, then I have lost the game, because that's what dating is now, a game. A game of who can play it cool the longest, who will crack first under the pressure of shoving our feelings down into our guts so that we don't have to look weak in front of each other. I mean, if we're going to call it weak, then shouldn't a relationship be the one place where you can be weak in front of someone? Like, isn't that the entire point? We even call men simps for simply adoring their girlfriends. I feel like nonchalance is especially prevalent in heterosexual dynamics. I mean, you don't see lesbians pretending not to like each other. I feel like the stereotype is the complete opposite, and the lesbians I know have never given a fig about nonchalance either. But I don't understand it regardless, because who wants to date someone who is going to pretend like they don't actually like you? A woman has to pretend she doesn't want the guy she likes so that he chases her. And then the man has to chase her, but not be too adoring or devoted because otherwise he loses cool points with his bros. What? What happened to romance in heterosexual dynamics? I feel like this is why there is such a thing as heteropessimism. Fuck. Heteropessimism? Pessimism? Heteropessimism. Moving on, let's talk about friendships. Because it isn't just romantic love that is harmed by nonchalance propaganda, it's friendships too. We're so scared to vent and open up to each other because any expression of emotion or something hard going on in our lives is defined as trauma dumping. Now, I understand there's an extent of opening up in such a way that isn't very nice to be on the receiving end of, but friends are supposed to care for each other, no? You're supposed to be able to call them when you need a listening ear. You're supposed to be able to text them when you're freaking out about a guy you like. You're supposed to be able to say, let's go for coffee. I'm feeling sad today and I need some company. But now social media bombards us with these expectations that none of that is our responsibility. You're the main character of your life. They're the side character. You have your own problems to deal with, so you don't have to bat an eye towards theirs and support them. Friendships, like romantic relationships, should be effortless and self-sustaining, because trying is giving up your power, and furthermore, trying is just embarrassing. What's this obsession with effortless and everything? What's even weirder about it is that everything does take effort, and we know that, but we just pretend it doesn't. It's everything from your beauty, to your career, to your studies, to your relationships. It should all be as though it miraculously fell into place at the right moment with little meddling on your behalf. You are favored by the mystical thing we call the universe, or perhaps God or coincidence. Trying, feeling, and caring puts you at risk of hurt and of shame. I think that we use nonchalance to try and control how others perceive us, to shield ourselves from the chance that someone might find us to be weird, intense, or too much, or simply that they might watch us fail. If we make it known that we like someone and want someone, and then it doesn't work out, and everyone knows it didn't work out, and they're looking at you and thinking about it, it feels like failure. When you apply for hundreds of jobs and then you get rejected. When you study and study and study and then never graduate. When you drift from your best friends. We use nonchalance to protect ourselves from that pain, from hurt feelings. I realized at some point that there is risk in everything. Life is full of risks. There is risk in telling someone you like them. You might get rejected. There is risk in reaching out. You might get ghosted or feel abandoned. There is risk in putting yourself out there. You might fail or embarrass yourself. But there's also risk when you walk outside the door every single day. There is a risk when you eat your food that you might not chew it properly and then choke. There is a risk when you walk that you might trip and fall. To avoid all possible risk, to avoid all possible discomfort or hard feelings, you would have to stay at home, in bed, and not move, ever. That doesn't sound very fun. That doesn't sound like living. Behind the risk, there is also potential. Potential for connection, potential for joy, for fulfillment, for laughter, for memories, for a life well lived. And on that note, a life well lived requires all the bad stuff too, unfortunately. Isn't there a saying out there somewhere that goes something like, if we didn't have bad days, we wouldn't appreciate the good ones. If we only had sun, we'd never feel the relief of pain. And if we only had rain, we wouldn't feel the brightness of the sun. and flowers need both sun and rain to bloom, and dirt. I think we need to have more faith in our ability to move through these difficult emotions, to sit with the feeling of being judged, or rejected, or embarrassed, and realize that it will pass. It is not permanent, it is temporary like all the others. You will pick back up, even if in the moment it feels like your world is crumbling. But let it be said, there is also risk to nonchalance, to not caring. By turning off your emotions, by forgetting your empathy, by protecting yourself under layers of whateverisms, you are risking loneliness, emptiness, and disconnection. When I don't text the people I care about, I am isolating myself. When I don't tell someone I want to be their friend or let them know I care about them in any way, I am putting myself at the risk of losing them and that potential connection in the same way that I am risking that by caring. If I don't put effort into anything, I don't risk failure or embarrassment, but I risk never doing anything. I've spoken a lot about feeling weird on this podcast. It's the word that haunts me. I hate it. I often worry that I'll be seen as weird when I try, when I speak up, when I feel. But none of that is weird. It's normal and human. And it's what gives life meaning. Empathy is natural. As humans, we're social creatures. We naturally search for affection, attention, and validation. It's natural to feel sad when our friends are sad, to be hurt when they treat us unfairly, when a crush doesn't reciprocate, when expectations are unmet. It's natural to see the evil in the world and feel a pang in your chest about it all. It's natural to want, it's natural to care, it's natural to be kind and have feelings and be vulnerable. Don't let social media twist what is a natural human thing into a weakness. It is normal to want someone to call when you're sad, and it's normal to want to wrap your arms around someone else when they're sad. We are so naturally empathetic that when someone else laughs, we can't help but join in. It's contagious in the best of ways. And embarrassment is just another one of those feelings, fleeting. Life is embarrassing, and a good life waits on the other end of a mountain full of embarrassment and cringe and vulnerability. So, yes, life is embarrassing, love is embarrassing, friendship is embarrassing, everything good about life is a little bit embarrassing sometimes. You have to embarrass yourself to live a good life. You have to tell someone you like them. You have to put yourself out there. You have to care, simply put. You have to laugh out loud in a silent room. You have to dance so hard your arms feel like they might fly out of their sockets. You have to hold your heart out to someone, open palm, and risk them turning away. I think we have misinterpreted embarrassment a bit. There's healthy embarrassment, in the sense that if you treat someone poorly, you should feel a pang of embarrassment at the very least. That is healthy shame. But not all embarrassment has to be negative. There's a warm kind of embarrassment. The embarrassment of snorting with laughter on a date, of tripping into someone on the dance floor, of saying something sentimental a little too loud in public. The warm kind of embarrassment is the one where we allow ourselves to be seen without a mask. I like that embarrassment. So, here is my caring manifesto. Be simps. Be simps for your lovers, be simps for your friends, and be simps for the world. Reclaim simping. Do people still use the word simp? I feel like so much of my internet vocabulary is so stuck in 2016. So I guess I'm old. Oh my god. I'm so ancient. I'm 23 years old. May as well retire from my non-existent job. No. Anyway, in serious, this is my manifesto. I guess. I don't know. The Caring Manifesto by Georgiana. Care. Care. Have passions. Be messy. Be embarrassing. Be human. You are not a robot. We have enough AI already. Being your messy, loving, human self is rebellion at this point. We are living in a world that wants us to spend our lives droning on mindlessly in thankless jobs, that wants to make caring harder by making socializing harder, by making living harder. In this world, Being your complicated, care too much human self is a rebellion. So be cringy with your partners. Text them too much. Tell them you miss them. Tell them you wish you could see them. Buy them flowers. And be so gooey and ooey that it makes anyone watching want to claw their eyes out, but that's not your problem. Listen to your friends as they vent. Be a shoulder for them to cry on. Go out for coffee dates with them when they're sad. Make them soup. Offer to drive them to an appointment. Go grocery shopping together. Text them and ask them how they are. As they say, the price of community is inconvenience. Be inconvenienced for love. And don't look away from the pain in the world. Face it, stare at it, and care about it. Maybe it's not your problem. Maybe it's not my problem either. But maybe it will be someday. So care about it now, and look at it now, and put yourself in other people's shoes. Keep your humanity alive and well. Never let anyone take your humanity away from you. I will never be nonchalant, hard as I may have once tried. I will never be effortlessly cool, and I'm more than okay with that. So, I hope that you got something out of that. I got a little bit of catharsis by getting all of my thoughts out onto the screen. And I'm looking forward to touching on this subject again because I have so much to say about nonchalance. It's not even funny, especially when it comes to like sexism and capitalism and you know, I feel like there's even more to say about social media, but I'm trying to make my podcasts digestible because I don't want to be asking people to listen to me yap for an hour. Anyway, so it's over. Now be free, my birdies, be free, and fly out into the world and feel everything, 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 everything.